Hi, I'm Mary Gallagher, and I'm inspired by people who are willing to try something new and do a deep dive of who they are.
All right, and welcome to the Lantern Podcast, a show that is produced and promoted by students out of Good Cause Productions at the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay. I'm your host, Ryan Martin, and wow, do I have a fantastic guest for you. She's a comedian, an actor, a host and MC, and a teacher who you have probably seen in TV shows like Friends, How I Met Your Mother, NCIS, and The West Wing. She was also in the movie Flightplan with Jodie Foster and made her national stand-up comedian debut on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. She graduated from right here at the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay with a degree in visual and performing arts. Please welcome Mary Gallagher.
So I've been coaching stand-up comedy for the last several years, and I've been doing it in comedy clubs, which is great. I've loved it. But I really started to feel called to do it on my own and to do it in a more personal connection with someone, not so much about having a Netflix special or even getting on stage at a comedy club, but people started to come to me who were interested in something going on with them that they wanted to discover through trying stand-up comedy.
So take me through, so in a moment, I want to start like at the beginning, and kind of talk through how we got to where we are. But first, I'm really curious about that experience for you. So people come to you and say, hey, this is what I want to do. Can you help me? Where do you start with someone who says, this is me trying to get free coaching right now? So,
absolutely,
yes.
right? It actually began because I had a client who I was coaching for stand-up comedy, and he was 82 at the time.
Oh, wow.
And a really brilliant environmental engineer. He had been head of Department of Water and Power for a city in Southern California, and he started stand-up comedy a couple of years before that, and he had told me that he had childhood trauma since he was 5 years old. His mother left, and his father said that woman does not exist anymore. So even though his mom was alive and did contact him later in life, his father said she does not exist. So as you can imagine, he had huge trauma.
Right.
And his wife became a psychologist, and she said, I think stand-up might be something that you would enjoy. So he started doing stand-up, and then when I started working with him, I was really just interested in when he would talk about trauma. And so some of his jokes maybe slightly touched upon that, but it wasn't like a set about trauma. It was just about him. Really him about as an engineer. And so his goal was to submit a 5-minute set to The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. It's kind of a really neat thing to be able to do as a comic if you can have a tight 5-minute set that is ready for television. Right. So we worked on it, and he submitted a set, a really great set that could definitely be on TV. They passed on him, but the fact that he did that, he was like, oh, Mary, thank you so much. That feels really good. Yeah. So he had written me a letter saying, Mary, I want to let you know that working with you and preparing this 5-minute set has healed me so much in my trauma. And I was like, oh, I just thought, wow, there's something really powerful here. And that's kind of where I've been headed, ever since. That's what I'm so interested in. Like, why is someone wanting to do stand-up? What is this possibly doing for you? What are you looking to maybe discover here?
I've been researching and writing a lot lately about the power of the arts when it comes to emotional wellness. And so this is such a fantastic story from that perspective. It's about sort of essentially healing through the arts in this really meaningful way. So I want to back up and kind of talk about your journey and how you got to where you are. So, I know you graduated from UW Green Bay, but if we could even start before that, what was your decision to come to UW Green Bay?
Yeah, I was very quiet as a child, and I had trauma as a child. I didn't know that, but so I really went inward, and I would just cartoon. I'm a cartoonist. I was a cartoonist here for the Fourth Estate.
Really?
Yeah. So
Oh,
I just
right.
kind of did comedy, but very quietly on pen and paper.
Okay.
And in fact, that was the name of my cartoon, was Paper Performance. So I thought, oh, I'll just draw this and slide it to someone, but I won't actually speak it or be it. And when I saw a program that listed all the UW schools, and there was only one of them at the time that said there was a degree in communication and the arts. And I was like, well, I like art and I'd like to learn to communicate. So that's how I chose it. I was like,
wow.
I'm going to go there. And then I took a year off to work and, raise money. My parents were like, hey, if you want to go to school, you're going to have to come up with the money, which I was really mad at the time.
Right.
And now I'm really grateful for. It really, really taught me, wow, like I remember coming here and going, I want to do something here because I'm paying for this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I chose it, though, was just this program, this brochure.
That's so interesting because, one of the things this university is famous for is having, I think, an unusual collection of majors for a long time, right? And
Yeah.
so people talk about, we had social change and development, and we have analysis and synthesis and things like that. And so many of those have kind of gone away from more traditional majors, but there's a lot of what's interesting to me is to think like, okay, here's a person who ultimately chose UW Green Bay because we had something that nobody else had.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I still don't know what it means, but I do know I got so much value out of this school. I do know how to communicate now, and I've really sunk into my art. I really actually feel that I am an artist, and I didn't have the confidence to say that,
Right.
when I maybe till last year.
So did you know when you came here that was your dream, that you wanted to be a performer?
No, I had no idea. I took a beginning acting class because it was a elective, and I think maybe it was required. I think you had to take some requirement in the arts. And so my roommate, my best friend I was rooming with, said, oh, I took this beginning acting class last year. We said we were going to come here together. And so we signed up, and then my dad's like, how are you going to pay for it? And I was like, I'll be there in a year. So she came ahead of me, and she took this beginning acting class with Dr. Patricia Lynn Ridge, and she said, you would really like it. So I took the class, and the first week, it was required to go audition for the main stage show.
Oh, wow.
Which was King Lear. I
Okay.
had never acted before, and I went and auditioned as Cordelia, one of the king's favorite daughter, and Dr. Richard Sherrill was playing King Lear, and he was at the auditions. And I went on stage and read as Cordelia, speaking to my father, how I felt. And I didn't know what acting was, but I did know that it was really neat to express myself to my dad on stage, what I would love to say to him. I was like, oh, I'm just going to pretend this is my dad. And I came off stage, and Dr. Sherrill came up to me, and he said, that was really good. I said, it was? And then that was it. I was now going to be, I was like, oh, this is a major, I can be in plays, and that was it.
Wow. And so no experience prior to that?
None.
Just
I
discovered
think,
it?
well, I think there was a Wizard of Oz play in 7th grade,
Okay.
and you were cast according to your ability. I was a tree.
You were a tree. Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
tree number 2.
Tree. Wow. Not even tree number 1.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was really wonderful.
That's fantastic. And it speaks, what I hear there is because I imagine that course was like a general education course, right? It was something that you had to take to, as part of the requirements here. And which the goal of those courses is exposure. It's to introduce people to things that they wouldn't otherwise discover.
Yeah,
So,
and here I am 35 years later, proud to call myself an actor.
Yeah, that's
thank
fantastic.
you, Dr. Patricia Lynn Ridge. Thank you,
Yeah.
UW Green Bay.
Excellent. So you graduated, and tell me what happens next.
Yeah, well, I graduated, I think, in 3 years. I was so inspired to get out there and be an actor. So I was always taking summer classes, and I was going to the chair saying, can I create an independent study over the summer? And they're like, okay. And then I got to Chicago, and I was like, why did I rush leaving Green Bay? But yeah, so I graduated, and I went to Second City in Chicago, and I studied improv. And that was specifically because Rose Abdu, who I believe now is Emmy-nominated actor from Hacks, came to the school and did a workshop on improv from Second City. Sue Kleinheim, the costume designer at the time at school, brought her here, did a 2-day workshop, and I was like, oh, I'm going to Second City, which I did.
Right.
So yeah, that was really neat. In Chicago, I really learned about improv and sketch and stand-up, a little bit of stand-up, and theater in Chicago. And then from there, I met someone in my Second City class who was a writer and an actor from Northwestern. His name is Michael Markowitz. He is a established screenwriter. He wrote the movie Horrible Bosses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I met him in my Second City class, and he got a job out in Los Angeles as a writer, and we were friends. And he just said, I think you do well out here. You know, you should consider coming out here. And Los Angeles is one of those places for me that if you know one person, you're like, oh, I know one person.
Right.
And they can kind of connect you, and you know, you just suddenly have a little bit of confidence because you know one person. And then I moved out to LA, and I've been there ever since.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of boldness to the story so far, right? I mean, I think even, you know, coming here, you know, and is an example of that. Taking a course in acting when you don't have much experience, decision to go do Second City in Chicago, but then also a decision to move all the way out to LA where you only know one person. Is that did it feel that way at the time? Did it feel like you were making big, bold decisions?
Yeah, it certainly felt like I was called. It certainly felt like I was doing the next step that made sense. I don't know if I felt bold at the time. I think I was just trying to no longer be the scared little girl that I had been growing up. So there definitely was something emerging in me, which was to learn to speak for myself and to express myself. And I just love comedy. Like my roommate and I here at Green Bay, we had so much fun in the dorm room making jokes. We used to do you remember like answering machines? Like, are you old enough?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to sure. We would do outgoing messages on our answering machine that were produced comedy bits that would take hours to produce. You know, write them, have sound effects, you know, and they were really funny. My parents would call and they were very upset. So we would just produce these outgoing messages, and then that led to me performing in bars and restaurants here in Green Bay in a comedy duo with another friend. And again, I was always trying to make money because I had to pay for things, right? And so I developed a comedy duo here in town with another theater major, and we went all the way to opening up for Sam Kinison and Pauly Shore at the City Center. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, $100 here, $50 here. Lip syncs were really popular before TikTok here in Green Bay in the bars. But just looking to make money and make people laugh. And I was like, I think I might be able to do this.
I was just going to say, I think answering machine messages for teenagers were like the TikTok of the 90s, right? It was where you're one mechanism to sort of perform for people.
Yes, like if someone's going to contact me, you're going to hear my routine, whether you want to or not. You didn't even know how to hit a number to bypass the, you're like, no, I'm going to listen.
Yep, you got to hear the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever I hear stories of people moving out to LA, celebrities, you know, it almost always involves sort of a kind of a rough start, you know, and sort of a people, you know, unsure if they're going to be successful, sometimes telling themselves, I'm going to give myself, you know, X months or whatever. Was that what it was like for you, or what was this journey like for you?
Just the opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I had performed opening for Sam Kinison here at the City Center, which, if you think about it, 2 young college girls opening for him wasn't a good idea. Like, that was not our crowd. And it was a rather rough start into comedy. I was like, we were in tears backstage. Yeah.
Can we unpack that? Tell me like, what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. So we came out, we were called the Flying Napkins, and we were doing like, you know, sound and movement pieces with comedy. It was really fun. It was quite theatrical. It like kind of came out of alternate theater here. We thought we were hilarious. And we were well received in bars and restaurants and the theater. But I think maybe the crowd that Sam Kinison pulled in, maybe more male demographic, they might have been drunk. Do you know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
And so it was just like, you know, take it off or get off stage. You know, and we were like, We just kept doing our routine. But then backstage, we were kind of like very affected.
Yeah.
But I came off that stage thinking, if I can do this again, nothing will ever be this hard.
Right.
And nothing has ever been that hard. Once I got out to LA, I was like, oh, this will be a breeze. I've been in front of this crowd in Green Bay, and I survived.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got out there, and then, I just started to connect with people in improv and comedy, and I just adore Los Angeles. It is just a melting pot of all different kinds of people, hardworking people, people in the arts. It's just an amazing place.
It seems it.
Yeah.
I've spent very little time there,
Okay.
but it seems it from.
I feel like it gets a bad rap sometimes. I hear people go, oh, you're in LA? Like I went out there once and it was horrible. I'm like, where did you go?
Yeah.
Who did you talk to? Because that has not been my experience.
I spent 1 week there and it was fantastic.
Oh, that's
so.
the-
Yep.
Yay.
No, I had a great. I worked in Long Beach.
Oh, cool.
For a week.
Like
doing-
around the Queen Mary, or were you part
no,
of?
so my brother used to put on like sporting events, and so he asked me to come out and work for him for a week at I think it was called Blade Jam. It was like a rollerblading,
Oh, that's
skateboarding
cool.
thing. Yeah, so I was, spent the week there. It was
That's cool.
It was great. Yeah,
Oh,
it
that's
was,
neat.
It was
I
really
like
really nice.
rollerblading.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was cool. So it sounds like you had connections and you had experience.
I had
and
one.
You had a
I
connection.
had one
Okay.
connection. And what's funny about my friend Michael is that he's so talented that anytime he was writing on a TV show or had a movie, he never, ever did anything to have me be on the show. Like he was on this TV show called Becker with
Okay.
Ted Danson.
I know that show. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember I got to know a lot of the writers because I would come see Michael. And when a part came up, I thought, oh, maybe my friend Michael will recommend me for an audition. Just the opposite. He never, ever wanted anyone to think I'm going to get my friend in here. He even wrote a part. The part was named Mary Gallagher and did not
No?
say a word. But then Matt Weiner, who created Mad Men,
Okay.
I was friends with him. He was on the show. He said, you know who we should get for this? Mary Gallagher. And I came
Wow.
in. I got the part.
Oh, wow.
But it was always because someone else recommended me.
Okay.
So to his credit, he has never, ever played favorites with like his best friend,
Right.
Mary. He's like, good luck to you, but I'm here if you need
Yeah.
a place to crash, but I'm not going to get you any auditions. But I love that.
Well, let's talk about some of the shows you've been on,
Okay.
right? Because I read the list earlier today. Friends.
Huge.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
How I Met Your Mother.
Yep.
West Wing.
And How I Met Your Mother, I was a Midwestern gate attendant. So I actually,
okay.
I had to talk, I don't even know how to do it now. I was like, oh, you betcha. They wanted like that kind of, I'm like,
Nice.
why do they think I can do that?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does that happen for you when you're there? Like you're just submitting. I mean, like literally what I know about this process,
Yeah.
I know from TV. So,
Yeah.
so
What did you hear? Like, how do you think it happens?
I assume you have an agent and that person pitches you out.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Ideally, that's
Okay.
what would be ideal. Getting an agent, getting anyone's attention is just not going to happen.
Okay.
But I really have, I think, an innate quality to just keep going.
Okay.
So I've probably sent out, I'm not even kidding, hundreds of thousands of correspondence, which people don't even do anymore. But it used to be you'd write a letter, you'd send a headshot and a photo and a resume to casting directors. It used to be kind of a thing that we would do. You send out 100 headshots and resumes, you might get one phone call.
Okay.
So, it's ending up in the trash. They don't even do that anymore because who wants to waste all that paper? No
Right.
one's reading their mail. It doesn't work like that anymore. To be honest, I don't know how it works anymore these days. But yeah, I was just always reaching out. I was
Okay.
always introducing myself. I was always like, oh, I met someone at a bookstore. Maybe I'll say hello to them on email if that was even a thing yet. But yeah,
Right.
just constant outreach. And then you start to meet people, and then somebody gives you an opportunity. And my first opportunity was, it was on a show called Sister Sister. Do you remember that? It was
I know the
Tina
name,
and
but-
Tamara. Yeah.
Okay.
These twins, and they were stars of the show. And I got an audition for burger customer number 1.
Number 1 this time. You were tree number 2.
Thank you
so,
for noticing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm moving up. And it was like 2 lines, and I got an audition, and I got the part.
Okay.
So now suddenly you have 1 part. Now you have the ability to join the Screen Actors Guild, and yeah. But I mean, there was just so much leading up to that, so many just closed doors, But I just kind of kept trying.
All right. So in addition to the boldness that we talked about earlier, there's also a certain level of hustle that is required of all of this.
Yeah.
Right?
There is hustle. But I don't know if I thought of it that way. I thought, well, I kind of have that Midwestern, like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing?
Right.
So I just did that with everyone, but it wasn't like I was trying. I think that's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I had learned how to speak. I had learned how to kind of come out of this shell, which was so exciting to just like talk to people,
Yeah. I was actually we were talking about my son earlier on the way to school today. I was telling him I saw it. Now I have not read the actual study yet. So but that likability is one of the biggest success indicators right now. That above and beyond even like talent is that people liking you is a really critical aspect.
Isn't that kind
success.
of refreshing?
Yeah.
Because I think when I first moved out to LA, I probably thought it was more like moody, theatrical, you're intense, right? And I never really could grasp onto that. But I think I tried for a long time to like, I'm going to be an actor and be something other than who I am. And I'm like, why do I keep getting cast as like the girl next door or, the friend? I'm like, oh, well, that's who I am.
Right. So I'm struggling right now because I really want to just gossip about a couple of experiences I know you've had.
Let's do it. Yeah.
So I will, but before we do, no, let's just do that right now.
Okay.
So Flightplan.
Yeah.
You're on Flightplan. I saw Jodie Foster.
Oh.
You said it was tell me about that experience. What was it like?
It was so amazing because I'll tell you right now, watching Jodie Foster perform a few feet away from me for about 6 weeks, we were on the plane. They built a plane for us to be on a lot. We show up to the, what is called the table read. So the table read is where I'm sure everyone gets a script and you all go sit at a table and you read through the script for the first time. And you meet everyone. And Jodie Foster's at the table. And we're reading through the entire film. And most people are in the script. Most people are looking at the script, looking to see what the next line is. I don't absorb that way. I like to look at people's faces. So, I know when my lines are coming up, but I'm watching the performance. When Jodie Foster spoke those lines, you would think, okay, here's a spoiler, but on the film that's, I think it's okay to spoil it now, she loses her child somewhere on the flight.
Right.
Her child is missing. So she's going through the loss. She doesn't know where her child is, and it's a thriller, and it's very dramatic. I'm watching her say and speak, where's my child? You would think she's going to just kind of maybe talk through that because this is the first time. I'm watching Jodie. No one else is watching her. She is wiping tears away as she is telling us this story from her point of view. I was like, oh my gosh, like if this isn't an acting 101 right here, everything is actually happening. It's real, it's true. No different from the table read to 6 weeks later when I'm watching her run down the aisle of the actual plane frantically looking for her child.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Isn't that neat?
Well, that's why there were the two things I want to talk about. You've had the opportunity to work with two people I consider like real idols of mine. One is her, who I just am always amazed by.
Right?
As an actress. Yeah, just incredible. And just as a person, she's fantastic.
Can I say one thing about that?
Please.
My mom came to the set, and my mom comes into the makeup trailer. Jodie Foster is sitting next to me having her hair and makeup done, and I'm there. And, you're not hanging out with Jodie Foster. She's focusing. Everyone's respecting her space. I know what I'm doing on this film, right? I'm the small part over here. But anyway, she comes in. So my mom's on set, and Jodie finds out. She goes, how about your mom comes to the trailer? I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you. Yeah, okay. So they bring my mom in. Jodie stands up and says, Miss Gallagher, so nice to meet you. What a pleasure it is to be performing with your daughter. I'm like, and my mom's like,
That's
oh,
incredible.
thank you so much, and I was like, oh my gosh, Jodie knew what a huge deal that would be.
Yeah.
No one asked her to do that. Yeah. Incredible.
That's incredible.
Isn't it
that
neat?
is, and when we talk about like the little things, that people do in their day-to-day life that makes such a huge impact. It's things like that.
It's huge.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
The other person,
Okay.
As of last night, I believe an Emmy winner, Stephen Colbert.
Oh, wow. Yes,
So-
you're right. You're
yeah.
right. Yeah, for the show.
So tell me about that experience, because
Sure.
this is where you got your, I guess, your national debut as a
I did.
comedian?
Yeah, I did. So I had seen Stephen Colbert when I was at Second City.
Okay.
He was on a stage called ETC. It was kind of the secondary stage at Second City. And so he'd be like walking in the background. I think he like taught there. I wasn't in his classes, but I knew of him. And then 30 years later, I'm realized that I'm doing his show. So when I filmed my stand-up comedy, they film it live in front of a live audience at the Ed Sullivan Theater, which was huge for me because I'm a giant Beatles fan. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm standing where Paul McCartney stood.
Right.
And I brought my daughter along, and she's backstage. But Stephen was not there. So he is filming an intro and an outro where he's like, Mary Gallagher. And then how about Mary Gallagher? But he actually was not there, and then they cut it in.
Oh,
Maybe like
interesting.
you and I might be doing today, right?
Yeah. Wait, what?
Aren't you going to like maybe do an intro?
Oh, yeah. Yes. I will do that in a second. You're right. I'm basically Stephen Colbert. is what
You
you're
really
saying.
are. See, you've become
Yeah.
who you admire.
Yes, there you go. That is very cool. So
Yeah.
how was that experience for you career-wise?
Incredible.
Right.
It was so incredible because I told myself I wanted to do one thing, which was I wanted to be in the moment. Because, sometimes as a stand-up, not sometimes, a lot of times up until then, I would kind of drop out of consciousness and be like, I'm going to go do my routine. And I'm going to make sure I do it the way I wrote it. And I wasn't fully there.
Right.
Right? And then I kind of woke up in my art and I was like, oh, the magic is in the moment.
Right.
So it was wonderful that I discovered that before I was on Colbert, because I just thought, whatever happens, because there's no take two.
Right.
You're going to walk out there, if you trip, whatever it is, that's going to
Yeah.
be your debut. So I was just like, just be there. So what's great about that set, and I'm so past that set now, like I'm so much better than that set. Like I look at it and I'm like, oh gosh, the comedy, but that's okay. That's where I was at.
Yep.
You're always better than your
Yep.
last. But anyway, what I was I was completely present. I was looking at people in the audience. I was really with them,
Yeah.
as opposed to like flying over it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm curious, this is a thing I do in my own life where I'm just sort of hypercritical of like any time
Yeah.
I've been on screen or anything like that. Is
Yeah.
that an occupational hazard for you? Can you
Used to be.
Okay.
It definitely used to be. Now I have more grace within
Okay.
myself. So I don't know what that means, except that I'm sure there's going to be many things I'm going to look back and go, oh, can't believe I said that. But I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Where before I'd kind of beat myself up.
Right.
I'd kind of be like, while I was on stage, I'd be like, oh, I can't believe I said that. Well, that's not going to be much fun to now
Right.
be in that spot. So it's a constant letting go, which I think I've really improved.
Okay.
Yeah. But it doesn't mean I don't look in things that go, oh, probably should have maybe brushed my hair. Probably could have used some makeup today. But, this is where I'm at.
Yeah, I have a real hard time looking at
Do you?
My previous stuff. Like I did a talk once that I ultimately never watched, and then until
I can't wait to see it.
until it was they played it at an event I was at,
Oh
and
my
I
gosh.
was at the Widener, and I couldn't like get up and go. Like I really didn't want to, so I had to sit there for
They made
13
you.
minutes and just watch.
And then you're like, oh, it's
Yeah,
great.
so it was
Good
fantastic.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and we're always evolving, right?
Right.
So that's, I guess, the
yeah.
good part about it.
So I want to get to our three questions in
Okay.
a second here, but first, tell me about like sort of you've had this incredible life, right? And you've done all these different things, and now I see you, coaching and teaching, students. What are some of the things that you try to like when you think back on all that you try and share with them to help them improve? What are some of the core elements there?
Yeah. I think worthiness. I think worthiness is all of it. I teach cartooning to kids, and I just started, my daughter was in kindergarten, and, they always want you to volunteer. I don't know, have you experienced that yet? They're when are you coming to do a podcast for us? Right?
Yep.
So they always wanted me to volunteer. So I was like, okay, I want to volunteer, but I don't want to just do the bake sale because that's not really my thing. Why don't I offer what I can do? So I said, I cartoon. Would you guys like me to cartoon? They're like, yes, please. So I started cartooning with the kids. And the principal came by one day and she said, are we paying you to do this? And I said, no, could you be? And she said, absolutely. So she said, you're going to fill out this grant, you're going to apply, and you're going to receive money. So I filled out the paperwork, I got the grant, and I received a grant to teach cartooning. I created a program called Kid Tuning, teaching confidence to kids through cartooning. And I taught every child in the school 3 times, spring, what was it, fall, winter, summer.
How old?
Every grade. So this would be elementary.
Okay.
Kindergarten through 6th grade, would it be in LA? I think it's 6th grade. Yeah. And I would have continued the program after that, but then my acting probably took over on a show and I didn't have the time. But I'm doing it privately now. I'm returning to it. But my point is, I remember being in a classroom and we were all cartooning. It wasn't really about the cartooning. It was about seeing the child. They wanted to show me what they did. They wanted to talk about it, and they wanted to be right. The presence. It's all about presence. So I remember a young girl drew a picture that was absolutely incredible. And, you're not really supposed to be like, that's really good, right? You're just supposed to, what I have learned in teaching from other teachers is you're supposed to kind of ask them like, oh, what is that? How do you feel about it? You let them have the agency. And I said, oh my gosh, that's amazing, which I guess I shouldn't have done, but I couldn't help it. She said, no, it's not. And I was like, oh, okay. And I said, really? I said, Olivia or whatever their name was. I said, wow. I said, I really love it. And she tore it up in front of me or crumpled it, and she ran out of the room crying. And I was like, oh, okay, I think I've done something wrong. The teacher was like, Mary, it's okay. Olivia's experiencing some, feelings about her art. And I just remember thinking, wow, she was maybe in, I think that might have been 3rd or 4th grade. And I was like, oh, there's the critical self coming in already. I'm going to cry just even thinking about it. And so I just want to come from a place of like, wow, how do we establish this childlike worthiness that we all come into the world with, and how do we hold space for it and not let little pieces of it go away?
Yeah, that is a super, super powerful message. And it's nice that it came right off the heels of me talking about how critical I am of myself.
Wow.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely, right?
Yeah. Let's get to our 3 questions if we can.
Okay, great.
So question number 1 is, who do you hope you're inspiring?
Yes, I hope to inspire people who have had trauma or people who are in trauma. I'm not quite sure, but coming out of trauma. Yeah.
There's so much research out there on art therapy and its value, and I hear that coming out, with that in so many of your answers, like using art as a way of helping people sort of process big feelings and whatever. Love
and
that.
I'm curious, do you think we all have trauma? Like I'm not versed in trauma, I only have experience, but I often wonder, like, can everyone relate to this, or is it just some of us?
I think, I would argue that the definition of trauma has changed considerably over the last decade.
Oh, wow.
And I think, I just think, and I think there's sort of a different definition in the like deep psychological research than there is in sort of popular culture. It's undeniable that everybody's got what we call, I think they're called ACEs, these aversive childhood experiences.
Okay.
And it's it's undeniable that everybody's got those,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Whether
life,
it's
right?
parents separating, whether it's living in poverty, whether it's
Wow.
a bad injury, whatever,
Yeah.
an illness.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of things that can go wrong in a
Yeah.
person's life
Yeah.
that people need to learn to navigate.
Right.
And I think
Yeah.
so often how people navigate those things
Yeah.
is whether it kind of answers the question in some ways, whether or not it becomes like a truly traumatic experience versus just a really maybe a negative experience.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely, right? It's so
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Question 2, tell me about a book, a movie,
Yeah.
something that inspired you.
Yeah, I would say it's Roberto Benigni's Life is Beautiful. Yeah, have you seen?
I have. It's
Yeah.
a fantastic movie.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
And I realized when I saw it, I'll probably never ever watch it again. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, this is a one-time experience for me. I don't know if I could go back and see the film again. But what I came away from was, oh my gosh, what a gift there
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
is to be found in what we might say is I've had a horrific experience or I have come through a horrific experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what's interesting? If I can tell a story about that movie
Please.
quick.
Oh
So-
my gosh, I haven't talked about this in a long time, so thanks for asking me.
So I've seen that movie twice.
Oh, you have?
Yeah. And the interesting thing is that the first time I was just, I actually don't remember who I was with, but I just saw it in the theaters and loved it, thought it was fantastic. And then a year later, I rented it. So I'm a psychologist. That's my background. And I rented it. I was in grad school and I rented it and watched it with a bunch of other grad students who were studying counseling psychology. And that movie in some ways feels like two movies, right? The first part is him sort of wooing this woman that he is interested in. And then the second part is the concentration camp. And for the first half of the movie or the first part of the movie, my friends were sort of like, this is really corny, Ryan. Why did you make us watch this?
true.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
And then it was so interesting the shift that they experienced because none of them had seen it and watching them say like sort of become overwhelmed by all of this and sort of recognize. I very specifically remember a friend looking at me and saying, he is a good dad. And, at one point, and I thought, oh, wow, this is like watching that shift was fascinating.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
I often love to watch something like, I'll watch maybe a comic
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll bring some friends to see them. And then I like to watch them watching what
Yep.
I know is coming. It's so fascinating to watch. Well, that's so popular now, reaction videos,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Jimmy Brogan's one of my favorite comics. He's been doing comedy for 50 years. He's one of Jay Leno's writers on The Tonight Show. Anyway, he's one of my mentors and we're good friends. I have seen this man perform hundreds of times. But what's great is when I bring my friends to see Jimmy Brogan and I get to watch them watching him. Yeah.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
thrilling. It's
Oh,
thrilling.
that's amazing. Yeah. Last question.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for our listeners, for people watching?
Yeah, so there's a spiritual thought leader and author that really I've like been doing self-help for all my life, and I get so much out of every single speaker, author, presenter. Doesn't matter, like I always get something out of it. Everything that is offering some sort of kind of advice, right? And there's a author named Michael Singer who I've really just kind of tapped into in the last several years, who just talks about mindfulness and letting go and being in the moment. And I would say the ability for him to communicate the idea of being present, for whatever reason, it is something that my DNA is similar.
Right.
I hear him speak. I actually even went to see him. He's in Florida. He has a place that he built 50 years ago. He's been doing the same thing for 50 years in Gainesville, Florida, just speaking about worthiness and letting go. And so I had to actually go there and see it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's who he is. The message that I received was something I knew all along. But it's interesting how it took 5 decades for me to kind of hear Michael Singer say it and go, I know this to be true,
Yeah.
and now I'm able to speak it.
Right.
So I think any person who knows that there is something inside of them that no one can change, touch, or argue on their true essence, to maybe take time to do that deep dive before I would have gone to LA, before I would have gone to Chicago, before I would have got married, before anything. Was like, we talk about the new building coming up, right? And the ground plan that or what they're doing right now out there.
Right.
I'm assuming there's a base that you do before you build the building. Like, don't build your house on sand, right? I built on sand for a very long time and then just kept rebuilding. But oh my gosh, to have that base, that seems like it would be quite refreshing.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Absolutely. Mary, this has been so fantastic. Where can people find you to learn more about you? Social media, website, anything you've got that you want to share with our listeners?
Thank you. So my website is myfriendmary.com. And I'm, working with people to try to get that a little bit more, And then I'm pretty big on Instagram. That's where I think I share the most. And I'm My Friend Mary.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
All right, so we are going to close out the show by talking with our production manager, Rachel Sankey. Rachel, how are you?
I'm doing so well. How are you?
I'm doing great. We just finished up a really fantastic episode. I love talking to Mary. But we want to take a moment to finish things up by talking about a couple things. One is what people get from our Patreon. So tell me, what do people get if they are part of our Patreon?
Yeah, with our Patreon, we get early access to our episodes. So you would get all of our upcoming episodes a week early.
Yes.
You might get some special episodes. You're going to get what we call flickers, which are some fun behind-the-scenes clips.
Very good.
And some extra info about our guests that we may not share on our regular socials as well.
Are any of those behind-the-scenes things that could get me fired?
To be determined.
Good. So,
but no.
Yeah, so if you work at UWGB and are above me, you should not be on our Patreon because that's a dangerous spot, is what I hear you saying. Yeah, excellent.
Yes.
So, okay. We also, one of the things we do for our Patreon members is we talk about, we say their name on an episode, right? So let's do that. You've got a couple people. We've got too many right now, too many new ones to mention them all. So we're just going to...
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
For your support. Shout out to Gage Beck and Sarah Winter.
Excellent. Thank you, Gage and Sarah. And then a shout out to Sammy Alger-Fieser, former student of mine, and Christian Anderson. Thank you all so very much. We appreciate your support.
Yes.
One thing I want to talk about before you take us home is our social media. How do people and where should people follow us?
Yes. So you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok at UWGB Cause. That is UWGB CAHSS. You can also subscribe to Ryan's YouTube channel where all of our episodes will be posted.
Yep. And that is at Anger Professor. You can follow me in all of those places as well. So, Rachel, take us home.
The Lantern is brought to you by Good Cause Productions at the University of Wisconsin Green Bay. The executive producer is Ryan Martin, and the production manager is Rachel Sankey. The engineer for today's show is Elle Clune from LiveX, and that music you love so much was arranged by our very own Michelle McQuaid-Dewhurst. Special thanks also to our guest, Mary Gallagher. If you haven't already, please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. Keep being amazing.